you'll have people that work for government agencies that were brought in, they were intaken. In other words, they were employed on the basis that they were not religious. This is one of the reasons why when I went for that media event, they actually asked us, if you're Christian, got a question, remember question 3, I think it was like question 3, and then go immediately after that, skip like to page 16, and then it was like 2 questions and then you were out. They said thank you and you were out. You were literally like, so that's what they do. So that's what that guy did. He went through an intake, wasn't given the truth, but they come to know the truth later when they start to realize, hold on a minute, why does this echo like something biblical? Why is these demons in the Bible? Like, why do we know about them from the Bible? Why the Bible is telling us this? Why nowhere else is it telling us this?
I was wondering if it was actually, do they have intentionally perhaps employed Christians or people that are familiar with it? Like someone like yourself, like without saying, obviously that they're working for the whatever.
Yeah.
But employ you because of your knowledge about that stuff. And
they don't employ people like us because they don't want people like us there. We're the ones that are restraining. We restrain the darkness. Yeah, they don't want you to know. They want you to be blind and deaf and mute so that they can continue with their...
That was a dumb question.
No, it wasn't a dumb question.
But I just thought, how do they know that they're actually evil? Is it because they've got people that are, or is it because, I guess
Can you walk on this side of you? Maybe you'll walk a little faster.
I just thought that the knowledge to know all this stuff, that's kind of like the secret stuff in the Bible that you only know if once you've got the thing. How do they actually, apart from I guess Lucifer knows everything anyway.
Oh yeah, of course.
So all those
he's...
maybe those people in the government don't actually know.
A lot of them are very ignorant and stupid, but also many are Freemasons, many are operatives that are satanic, Luciferian doctrinally trained operatives. You got to remember the enemy has his agents everywhere, right? So what we are dealing with, because we have the authority over them, we can actually restrain them and stop them. I've actually seen situations, even on the streets, where friends of mine, in a beautiful way, like in a non-aggressive, non-violent way, they've actually rebuked demonic spirits, like on the street, boom, and you see them, they become tame like puppy dogs and run away. They start off very intense and whatever, like these metalheads and these big punk guys. And the one day they kicked in one of the speakers on the street, and this guy, he turned around and he said, "Bless you, in Jesus' mighty name, bless you." And you must see this guy just wandered off. So God is very powerful. We have the authority over demonic spirits. We have the authority over principalities and strongholds and beings in positions of power in the kingdom of darkness.
So many movies and things, like even old movies, show signs of so much, not fiction.
Yeah, truth.
But is that inspired, or is that like...
See, the enemy, this is such a beautiful question. The enemy is under the obligation, and he's performing according to a rule book. God has given him a rule book, and his rule book is that he has to tell the truth. He has to make the truth known to humanity before he can do anything to humanity. Now, there's a thing in law, silence means consent. In other words, if you don't argue, if you don't fight it, it means that you're accepting it. You're consensually allowing that dark thing to happen, right? Now, what the enemy does, the rule is the enemy has to let people know what's coming. He has to tell them the truth. However, how he does that is a whole nother ballgame. He's allowed to do it through a magazine cover. He's allowed to do it through a small little...
he's going to be dropping clues.
He's got to tell you the truth, but he can do it through a medium that is completely out of the area of mainstream. Because, you see...
and then by dropping it in a movie and then inspiring movie makers.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens is over time, when you become infilled with the Holy Spirit, you have a discernment and a desire to know and be curious, and you seek out those truths. You find those truths in places you never imagined that are hidden away from everybody else, because the Holy Spirit is directing your path. He directs your steps. So the minute you're infilled with the Holy Spirit, your steps are directed to places you never imagined. For instance, when I came to know the Lord properly, this was last year, March, because up until then I was born again. I mean, I had already committed my life to Christ when I was like 18 or something, 16 or something, on my knees. But I'd rebelliously gone back into the world and decided the world was a far more fun place to be in, right? But what happened was, g'day, hi. What happened was I didn't take it seriously. I didn't even know if it was really the truth, to be honest with you. I was searching for the truth, and I was in New Age for about 11 years of my life, and I tried, and I read everything. I read the Bhagavad Gita, the Popol Vuh, I read Sumerian tablets, I read the Ethiopian book of the king. I read, which is, by the way, a portion of the truth, but that's another story. Because that is also considered to, even though it's non-canonical, it's non-canon biblically, it actually does have an element of truth about it. The Cabernestra, I don't know if you know that. Then there's I read the Hindu texts, the Hindu Vedic texts, the Vedas, 12,000 pages, 12 volumes of that. G'day. How are you guys? You good? You good? That's good. That's good. I read the Quran. I read the Zohar, the Kabbalah. In fact, I was really interested in the Kabbalah for quite a while there. Very dark. It's Jewish and it's spiritual, and I thought it was biblical, but it's not. It's actually evil. It's like full-on evil stuff. It's all about the Svirot and being cut off from the light force.
Madonna joined it.
Yeah, Madonna joined it, yeah. And it's got to do with the Merkabas, and it's really hectic, right? And there's all kinds of symbology in it and everything. It's very intense. And then I read the Mayan texts, the Mayan tablets. I read the Zoroastrian documents, what was available. I went into the Toltecs, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Hittites, the Kittites, Sumerian tablets. In fact, I even translated Sumerian hieroglyphs at university. They're not called hieroglyphics; they're called hieroglyphs. And it was amazing because I was busy studying, ancient civilizations. I was doing Latin for law, for my law school. But when I was doing Sumerian, I realized that what I was reading seemed to be echoes of what I was reading in the Bible, what I knew about the Bible, which wasn't a lot at that time, especially at university. I was in the darkness. But I had this feeling that I'm sure I've read the story, the Sumerian, the Gilgamesh story really echoed what was happening with Noah and the flood, the antediluvian period. So I really started to kind of get the feeling that why have all these things got something to do with the Bible? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why does most of this? And then when I started to read actual other religions where they were attacking the divinity of Jesus Christ or attacking the work of Christ on the cross, I kept thinking, why would you do that? It's a little bit like me, g'day guys, it's a little bit like me writing my own book, and I've said this to you before, and bringing Spider-Man in and just killing Spider-Man, like just whacking Spider-Man out. Like, what the heck is Spider-Man to do with my story? If I'm writing a book with my own characters, my own pantheon of characters, and I bring in Spider-Man to attack Spider-Man, why would I do that? And that's what I found from most of the religions of the world. So as I was reading everything, I started to go, hold on a minute. Why are all these religions, why do they all seem to be, Vishnu, and why, the Brahman, what is the concept of Brahman in Bhagavad Gita and in the Ramayana, the Ramaya, Lord Krishna, in the battlefield of the Ramayana. Why is all of this echoing the Bible? Why does it all echo the Bible somehow? It's strange. Like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you not write your own thing and just be original? Just completely not go and tackle, biblical subjects. Like, why?
Because I think that they're all supposed to be from the same source. And you know what? I know you look at it and you say, you feel very offended about some of the way some of them, like to Muslim, we feel that we treat Jesus with respect.
But it's not the same Jesus. It's not Jesus. It's like Jehovah's Witness. It's not Jesus. It's a different Jesus, right? Isa is not Yeshua HaMashiach. It's not. They're two different characters. They're not even the same. And they're, Mormons have got a Jesus, but their Jesus is not Jesus. It's not Jesus. It's another fake counterfeit version of Jesus. There's only one place in the whole world where Jesus Christ appears and does the resurrection work, and that's in the Holy Bible. Nowhere else. And any other place that discusses him, it's always to attack him. It's always to identify him falsely and say that he's not that. He's something else. He's a being with a higher order, or a being that had,
It's not necessarily an attack.
It's always an attack. It's always. You know how many of these books I've read? It's always attacks. They're always attacks. They never. Paramahansa Yogananda, okay, is the only one. Paramahansa Yogananda, it's called The Autobiography of a Yogi, is the only book that I've read where the yogi himself, Paramahansa Yogananda, says his biggest desire was to actually be able to be raptured like Jesus Christ, right? Again, why would you bring Jesus Christ? But it's the only one that doesn't. He attacks him in a roundabout way. What he's saying is that any master who gets to a state of enlightened being has the ability to be raptured, has the ability to enter the glorious light, right? But he's basically knocking Christ. He's also saying, even though he elates Christ and says, wow, he was able to get raptured, he was able to get pulled up into the sky and illuminated. I want to attain that meditational light, So what I'm saying is, even in that respect, that one book, which seems to sort of not attack him, is actually attacking him, because it's saying that he believes that he has got that ability to access that same level of meditational illumination. So in other words, he's saying everybody can do that. Do you know what I mean? So it's actually knocking Christ as well. But again, you've got to remember, the world is run by 10 principalities, which we will see in the 10 world governments. They will each one of the principality leaders will run one of the world governments. There will be 10 of them. There's actually going to be 11, because the 11th one is the Antichrist, the little horn, as the Bible talks about. So we know that those 10 make up the heads of the principalities, and under them the 30,000 religions of the world all sit inside. All of them, except Judaism and Christianity. It's the only one where the communication from God, Yad-He Vav-He, when he spoke to humanity for the first time through the Garden of Eden, through Adam and Eve, that was God. That was God's communication. Everything that happens after that, when they get thrown out of the garden, when they build the Tower of Babel and then they get scattered again, they go off to create their own religions, to worship Moloch, Baphomet, Beelzebub, all of the principality heads. So, and they're all pagan deities, all of them. They're a pagan moon deity, pagan sun deity, Amun-Ra, the ancient Egyptians, the Sumerian gods, the pantheon of Roman and Greek gods. They're all idols. Every single one of those things is a demon. It's a demonic being. In other words, it's the disembodied soul of the fallen giants, the Nephilim, which the Bible talks about. It makes it extremely clear. In fact, right at the very beginning, Genesis, it shows you in those days were giants. In those days and now, and today, and now, and after, there were giants in those days and after, and those giants became the fallen angels. And when they were destroyed in the great flood, the antediluvian period, by God, to get rid of them because they were trying to tamper again with the DNA of humanity. The flood didn't quite get rid of all of them. You know, they went off to set up their own principalities here on earth, and all controlled under from Pergamon.
Yeah, it does.
Pergamon, which is the throne room on earth of Lucifer.
Same branch,
and then obviously he's moved it to the Vatican.
Are you there?
So that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, as I was saying, Pergamon, the seat of Lucifer, you know, the king, we're going to call him the prince. He's not a king at all. The prince of these, he's called in the Bible the prince of the power of the air. And he became the ruling prince over the earth. And he was running the place out of Pergamon in Turkey, right? And then he moved his seat to the Vatican. So now he operates out of the Vatican. Okay, Lucifer is alive and well and kicking and doing his thing. And obviously he's going to be operating through the Antichrist, because even though he has a powerful presence on the earth, the war in heaven will literally exile him from heaven for all of eternity. Angels mean messengers, but they are also Elohim, and they're part of the divine council of heaven. Now, the fallen divine council became demons, right? Or fallen divine council. The Nephilim themselves, the interbreeding between humans and angels that were fallen from the divine council became the Nephilim. And when they got killed, their souls continued on as disembodied souls, which now become... Yeah, they can now become...
Where are we?
We'll go this way.
Is this South Street?
Yes. We'll go around this way and I'll head back for you, just to keep within the... I know, you're like puffed out. Well, you should... breathing into your mask is, it's only going to give you hypoxia, right? But anyway, so you see the difference. This is why it is confusing for the average person. It really is a bit confusing, because these disembodied spirits can possess leaders and elite and humans that are determined to see Lucifer be put on the throne room, because they come from that other line of humans that I keep speaking about, the line of Cain. The line of Cain had an Enoch, right? Which is not the same as God's Enoch. God's Enoch, the man who walked with God, is a different Enoch. There's two Enochs, and people, again, they don't know that. There were two human lines on this earth. There's two human lines. There's the genetic line, the Messianic or Adamic line. The Adamic line becomes the Messianic line. But then from the Adamic line comes the Cain line, the line of Cain.
Adamic is Adam.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. From the line of Cain comes, hello, come out and help yourself to the boot of the car. Little kid with his little alarm generator, little remote. Yeah, kids run the household in that house. You can see it. So. Yeah, I know. But see, this whole thing is that what they've been trying to do for a very long time is they've been trying to give the throne over the earth to the enemy, to Lucifer, right? Mm-hmm. They want Lucifer on the throne. They want Lucifer on the throne.
Because he's promised them all this stuff.
Because he's promised them all this stuff. He's the one who said, look, you give me all the humans, you give them all to me, you prove to me that you can get them all to worship me, and I will run the earth for you. But God is saying, no, I want my son, Jesus Christ, on the throne. My son is on the throne, right? So all the stuff that's out there is to confuse people and to get them to lose their soul, is get them to lose their eternity.
Humans are weak and they're enticed by
crap. Humans are enticed by nonsense. Exactly. They're enticed by little shiny little things, just like when the original imperialists arrived in all the countries that they took over. They came with shiny beads, and people gave away entire tracts of land and their entire countries for little shiny beads. Now,
diamonds,
no, they didn't even give them diamonds. They gave them little quartz things and little shiny bits of nonsense.
Stones.
Yeah, not diamonds. They weren't giving them diamonds. They gave them just crap. And you know where I'm going with this. What I'm saying is that there has to be a genuine, legitimate mode of exchange. In law, because I come from a legal background, there's a thing called consideration. Consideration could be $1, right? If I buy your car, I have to give you something. I have to give you something. So if I give you $1, it's acceptable in a court of law that was a legitimate offer and acceptance and a legitimate transaction.
Are we going this way?
Yeah, but if you give me your car and you say it's yours, but I never exchanged anything, you can rightfully ask for it back, and I have to give it back to you because there was no actual offer and acceptance. There was nothing that concluded the offer. And it's the same with souls. We're living in a world that is chasing souls. So the leader, the one who's going to rule this earth, it's going to be determined by souls, right? So the souls that are under Christ's possession will have Christ, and the souls that are under Lucifer's possession will have eternal damnation. They're not going to get the earth, because the earth and the heavens belong to God, and God can give it to whoever He wants.
You reminded me of something that I think you reminded me of, and I still haven't done it, but I have to, and you have to too. But even if you're going soon somewhere, you have to be very careful in how you word it. You've got to make sure you have a will.
Yeah.
Is your will done?
Yeah, my will is done.
Oh, mine's not.
Yeah, you have to.
And if you die without a will, everything goes to the government.
Everything goes to the government, yes, that's right. Yeah, you've got to have a will so that when we leave in the harpazo, the rapture, go to a wills and testament lawyer, and get it done as fast as you can. Like, I'm talking Monday. So, because it takes 2-3 weeks. It takes 2 to 3 weeks to get it done.
That urgently.
Yeah. And what you do...
You told me about it before recently.
You have to. And I must tell you, what you have just said is one of the most important things you've just said. It's like everybody should have a will, because the last thing you want is you want your possession or your property or anything going somewhere that it shouldn't go.
Yeah.
And make sure that you will it to someone that is going to be doing the kingdom's work when you've left.
If you're hopefully your family's all with you.
Hopefully.
But,
we pray.
If
Heaven is not for families, it's for individuals.
I know.
So you're going to find there's some members that may never actually come to heaven with you.
I know, there's so many cases of that.
Yeah. And by the way, we think, because you see, we never really know what's going on inside of somebody. Like, I don't, you don't. They may say, I believe or whatever, but they don't really have a walk with God. They don't really walk with Him. They don't really have a walk. Because
they want to shut you up?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I don't want,
I've had situations where somebody has given their life to Christ, but then when I check in months later, nah, they're not there. They didn't go. They didn't do it. They didn't actually make any plan. In fact, they haven't gone there at all. I was like astounded, because God used them to actually fund and put money into a project or something, and yet they just did not go with it. They said they did. They even prayed, but guess what? They didn't do it. So what I'm saying is, we're walking much slower now.
I know. I've got a pain in my back for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know why.
When you walk, try to walk so that you do this, like you move your arms, your legs.
I should,
Because that way you're disengaging your spinal column from the nerves, you know what I mean? From the muscles that are kind of stuck and bunched up in there.
I have got this pain.
I love these parks. That's one of the things I love about Australia is their parks.
I'm going to just take care of myself.
You know what? The biggest priority right now in this day and age, this time, right now, is to actually walk with God. Forget even health and all of those things. I know health's important, but I really think the walking with God thing is the most critical thing one can do right now in the world, because we are in the end times, and we're not only in the end times, we're in the last of the last days. If I had to see it as a clock, I would say we're in the last minute before midnight, and the seconds are ticking away. So there's only 60 seconds left. It's like that, and then we're going to have the harpazo, the rapture. 146 scriptures relate to the rapture, and we know we're in the dispensation right now of Thessalonians. So we know we're in Corinthians and Thessalonians. And we're about to see Ezekiel 37, 38, 39 played out. And Manel, it could happen next week. And you think I'm kidding? Like next week.
I don't think you're kidding.
Because they've just had an attack. Syria just attacked Israel. And Israel is vowing to...
Syria's going to get demolished in one day.
One night. The whole of Damascus will be consumed in fire. That's Ezekiel 37, 38, 39. All those prophecies will come through. And that's it. From that, at that exact moment, the harpazo happens, the rapture happens. So on the night that happens, Manel, if you hear from your friends, oh, Damascus has been attacked, call us. You'll see we're not on earth anymore. We've probably gone. Because the harpazo is meant to happen quite literally on the night of, or the very next day of following the Ezekiel 37, 38, 39 prophecy. It's the last prophecy. It's the last one before the harpazo, before the rapture. It's the last one. That's why we know the Bible's the truth, because God made a plan. He made salvation available to us, a way out of the mess that Lucifer created in the Garden of Eden, but he's also created a rescue plan. He created a plan to rescue us in a marine-style rapture rescue that no other book in the whole of the world offers. Nothing else offers it. Bible's the truth. It's the truth. It is the truth. And that's why I am so thankful I found it. That God found me, because I was a mess. I could have died so many times back there. So many things could have happened. And I would have lost into eternity. But because of His mercy and His grace, He found me and He's kept me preserved until now. So, and my job will be done when I'm out of here, which means whatever I had done was what I needed to have done in God's perfect will. It will have been perfect, exactly. You know, we're working like crazy to get all our videos on the channel. We're doing our screenings of our movie. Well, exactly, the Left Behind stuff, yeah.
You said
that's right.
The survival plan.
Survival kit, yeah.
You can put that on the internet.
There's a lot of people that have put survival kits on the internet, but I wanted to personally speak to you about it. So here's the survival plan. Do you want me to tell you?
Probably haven't got time today.
No, it's quick.
Oh, okay. I thought it was...
There's time. There is time. Between here and the car, I can tell you. You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you record it? Or put it on USB for me?
I can do that with pleasure. So let me do that with pleasure.
So, because I'll forget bits and pieces.
That's fine. No worries. We'll do that.